Hello. I run the risk, and I believe risk to be the right word, of defining myself as a romantic. I think it's obvious in what I write and in the way I view things, in the opinions that I form. I have a very romantic view of the world. I understand the mystics when you look at the medieval mystics. There's a romance in that. There's a passion in it. In the 21st century doesn't seem to be as prevalent. I think we're a quaint old-fashioned corner of humanity now. When you define yourself as something, you're probably going to be required to stand by that for the rest of your life. Well, you said this, therefore it will always be true. And that's my perception of it. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is true, but that is the way I feel about it. The 21st century is getting to be kind of a cold place. You put down numbers and everything must have an answer, and it must be this and it must be that, and A must equal B, and I's must be dotted and T's must be crossed, or something is unfinished and it's not good until it's finished. And I'm uncomfortable with that, and I am a romantic. I mean, it would be difficult to define me as anything else. I'm definitely bent more toward romance and the concept of love, both sides of love, the horror of love and the joy of love, because love is one of those things that both its positive and its negative, its alpha and its omega, its black and white, are all encompassed within that one concept. You don't have an opposite to love. You can say hate, but that isn't an opposite. Hate is its own thing. The Greeks had 4 words for love, and we have one, and that's kind of unfortunate, I feel. Romeo and Juliet, I think, encompasses the swing and the panorama between the positive and the negative of love. You find beauty in places where you don't expect to find it. This morning it was snowing outside, and our leaves hadn't fallen completely yet, and I was standing on the front lawn in a pair of basketball shorts and the ever popular black hoodie, taking pictures of the snow in the trees, because the leaves were this brilliant yellow and there was this bright white snow. And then on the way to work, it was a very surreal thing, but it was still a beautiful thing, in that the snow that was in the trees and on the leaves was melting. The sun had come up and was out, and the clouds had parted, and there was this bright sunlight, and it was the exact opposite of what you normally see. Bicycling, I was bicycling around where the trees hang out over the streets, because the snow was melting in the trees and it was raining, literally raining into the trees. You could hear it. There was a constant pouring of water, and is what it sounded like, and it was the rain falling into the trees. And then the rain, there was no rain from the sky. The sky was blue, so around the trees it was light. And so it was the exact opposite. You shelter under trees to get away from the rain, and in this case the rain was under the trees, and it was a beautiful, beautiful thing, very surreal. But my point being that you find beauty in places where you hadn't looked for it, and that's what I'm going to read for you now is something that, as a child going to Sunday school and Bible school, we were taught the creation stories in the New Testament, and then things like Jonah and the whale and Daniel and the lion's den. And there were a lot of things that just never seemed to come up, and I've discovered them later in life. I don't remember Esther as a child. I don't remember them ever speaking of Esther, or the Babylonian captivity of the Jews. I don't recall things like Numbers and Judges, and they may have been there, but I think they were probably glossed over in favor of things that were more glamorous. But one thing that was never taught was the Song of Solomon. I don't recall them ever speaking of the Song of Solomon. When you look back at it, when you look closely at it, it is some of the most inspiring love poetry, full of rich visual imagery and ancient concepts of love. How you compare people to things in nature, as opposed to just trying to find the right word. You would find something that you found inspiring in nature, and you would compare this person to those things in nature. And I adore reading the Song of Solomon, just because it is such wonderful love poetry, and it inspires me romantically. So that's what I'd like to read for you now. I would like to read for you selected verses from chapters 6 and 7 of the Song of Solomon. Thou art beautiful, O my love, sweet and comely as Jerusalem, terrible as an army set in array. Turn away thy eyes from me, for they have made me flee away. Thy hair is as a flock of goats that appear from Galaad. Thy teeth as a flock of sheep which come up from the washing, all with twins, and there is none barren among them. Thy cheeks are as the bark of a pomegranate beside what is hidden within thee. There are 60 queens, and 80 concubines, and young maidens without number. One is my dove, my perfect one is but one. She is the only one of her mother, the chosen of her that bore her. The daughters saw her and declared her most blessed, the queens and the concubines, and they praised her. Who is she that cometh forth as the morning rising, fair as the moon, bright as the sun, terrible as an army set in array? I went down into the garden of nuts, to see the fruit of the valleys, and to look if the vineyard had flourished, and the pomegranates budded. I knew not, my soul troubled me for the chariots of Amminadab. Return, return, O Sulamitis, return, return, that we may behold thee. What shalt thou see in the Sulamitis but the companies of camps? How beautiful are thy steps in shoes, O prince's daughter! The joints of thy thighs are like jewels that are made by the hand of a skilful workman. Thy navel is like a round bowl, never wanting cups. Thy belly is like a heap of wheat, set about with lilies. Thy breasts are like 2 young roes that are twins. Thy neck is a tower of ivory. Thy eyes like the fish pools in Hesebon, which are in the gate of the daughter of the multitude. Thy nose is as the tower of Libanus that looketh toward Damascus. Thy head is like Carmel, and the hairs of thy head is the purple of the king bound in the channels. How beautiful art thou, and how comely, my dearest, in delights! Thy stature is like to a palm tree, and thy breasts to clusters of grapes. I said, I will go up into the palm tree, and will take hold of the fruit thereof, and thy breasts shall be of clusters of the vine, and the odor of thy mouth like apples. Thank you. That's all.